In this episode, we're going to talk about citing sources, and we're going to talk about the process of bringing research into your paper. When you bring research, whether that be in the form of quotations, paraphrases, facts, or statistics, into your paper, you must give credit to the source and its author. So basically, to avoid plagiarism, you want to give credit to a source or cite a source whenever necessary. So anytime an idea is not your own, you're going to need to credit whoever came up with that idea. You do this with in-text or what we call parenthetical citations. So in sociology, as in other social science disciplines, we don't use footnotes for our citations, but rather we do them in parentheses within the text of the literature review. So they're called parenthetical citations because the bibliographic information goes inside the parentheses. Check out the APA Style Guide for more information on how to properly use in-text citations. So when do you need to cite a source? Start off with, there are kind of 4 places where you're going to want to cite a source. The first is pretty obvious, quotations. When you are using someone else's exact words enclosed in quotation marks, you need to cite that source. Whenever the ideas, opinions, and theories of someone else are presented, even if you restate them in your own words in a paraphrase or summary, you still need to cite the source. And also, when you are presenting facts and statistics, unless those facts or statistics are common knowledge and are accessible in many sources, you need to cite the source. In a literature review, very little of what you're writing is your own knowledge or opinion or information, because you are pulling together data and literature from lots of different places. Pretty much everything that you write will need some sort of citation, something to back up your assertions. So how do we know when something is common sense? Well, common sense or common knowledge is information that can be found in many sources and that no one can claim owning. It's information that belongs to everyone, and it's often the stuff of encyclopedias. Some examples of common knowledge would be the fact that 6 million Jews perished in the Holocaust. Now, this information came from somewhere, but it's been repeated so often that most people know that statistic. Second statistic that might be an example of common knowledge is the height of the Empire State Building. At one point, the tallest building in the world at 1,454 feet tall. You can find that in lots of different places on the internet, in lots of different writings, and so we would consider that common knowledge. Or the fact that the Civil War ended in 1865 would be another example of common knowledge. Pretty much anyone in the United States should be able to tell you the year that the Civil War ended. So when it's not common knowledge and you need to cite your source, what are some of the different ways that you can include other people's work in your own writing? Well, one of the ways that's kind of the most obvious is to use quotations. When you quote, you borrow an author's exact words. So you want to use a quotation when the wording is so memorable or expresses a point so well that you cannot improve or shorten it without weakening it. Another time when you might use a quotation is when the author is a respected authority whose opinion supports your own ideas. Now, this is different than just in a literature review, taking every author in the literature review as an authority and so quoting all of them. But instead, when you have a particular perspective or idea and you see that backed up in the literature, you might want to cite that author or quote that author. The last place where you would use a quotation is when an author challenges or disagrees profoundly with others in the field. You don't want to be accused of misrepresenting their ideas, and so using the direct quote will ensure the reader that you have done your due diligence and understand what the author was trying to say. So again, use quotations sparingly. Quotations are not a substitution for paraphrasing or summaries. They are in addition to paraphrasing and summaries. So with that, let's move to paraphrasing. So paraphrasing is putting material, including major and minor points, into your own words and sentence structure. You can paraphrase anything. You can paraphrase a theory, an idea, the results of a study, or passage it in an original source, as long as you use your own words to describe it. And a paraphrase is often the same length as the original, but it's in your own words. If you struggle on how to paraphrase something and put it into your own words, then it's possible that either one, you don't fully understand the material, or it might fit into that first category of quotations, where the wording is just so memorable and so perfect that you can't think of a better way to say it. So to paraphrase, read the article, think about what words are important, how can you say it differently, and then tell it in your own words. The last way to include other people's work in your work is through summaries. So summaries are often less detailed than paraphrases. In a summary, you provide your reader with the gist of the most important sources you find in your own words. It's generally shorter than the text, it uses your own words, and it basically reports the main ideas only. So summaries give readers basic information, and again, they're always in your own words. When you include a summary in your paper, introduce the author's name and/or work, and then summarize that work.